My name is Anastasia Lin. I'm a Canadian actress, and I'm a beauty queen. In 2015, I was barred from entering China to participate in the Miss World final competition. And the Chinese government declared me persona non grata, the highest level of diplomatic punishment. Now, I might be the only beauty queen in history who's ever been declared persona non grata, and you're probably wondering, well, how it happened. So let me start from the beginning. I was born in China, in Hunan province, and I was a model student, raised by one of those Asian tiger moms that you probably heard about. As a student leader at school, one of the things I did was to enforce ideological conformity among my fellow classmates. For example, I made my fellow students watch hatred propaganda films attacking the so-called government enemy. I moved to Canada when I was 13 with my mother. Only then did I begin to realize the extent of my indoctrination. I learned about the truth behind Tiananmen massacre, the truth of persecution of religious minorities, the truth behind the hatred propaganda that the government once made me complicit by helping to spread. And I realized I had been lied to all my life. Under the influence of China's state-run media and education system, I was made to feel hate and contempt toward my country's true heroes, the people who are willing to risk their lives to live as dignified human beings. And once I came to understand that, I want to find a way to contradict it. As an actress, I acted in films depicting human rights abuses in China, and I have testified in legislators around the world. And 4 years ago, I started on a journey to use the beauty pageant platform to raise awareness about human rights abuses in China. I won Miss World Canada in 2015. But immediately after my win, my father was paid a visit by the China security force. And under great pressure, tried to help me, tried to silence me, and have me abandon human rights concerns. It was the most horrifying experience to know that the person who once made you feel safe is now in danger. I am still concerned. I'm still scared about my father's livelihood. But as I reflected on the issue, it was clear that silence helps no one. Silence only feeds terror. So I continued speaking up. As a result, when all the other Miss World contestants got their invitation letter to participate in the final in China, my invitation never came. But I wanted a definitive answer from the Chinese government. So I packed my 16 pageant dresses, got on a flight to go to China to get a landing visa. Once I arrived in Hong Kong, I have learned that I was being declared persona non grata by the Chinese government and barred from entering the country. Now, why is the Chinese government afraid of a beauty queen? Because it was my hope to use this platform to shed light on a horrific atrocity, the organ harvesting of prisoners of conscience. Before today, many of you may have heard of the organ transplant abuse in China, including reports that large number of Falun Gong practitioners, Uyghurs, Tibetans, house Christians have been killed so their organ could supply a lucrative trade in human body parts. In the United States, the average wait time for a liver transplant is 321 days, just under a year. But in China, numerous hospitals have been aggressively recruiting transplant tourists, promising that with a few tens of thousands of dollars, they can get lungs, kidneys, livers, hearts, pancreas, corneas within a couple of weeks. What's more incriminating, over a quarter of all liver transplant performed in China are emergency transplant, which means that the transplant is happening within 24 hours of the patient's acute liver failure. Liver is a good example to study because in order to have a full liver transplantation, someone has to die. Now, what do these numbers mean? Organs don't grow like plants. Organs come from people. Due to the influence of China's Confucius value of keeping the body intact even after death, Chinese people are extremely reluctant to donate their organs. So that means virtually every transplant happened in China, the organ is either being bought or forcibly removed from someone. With the absence of a national organ donation system before the year 2015, how did the Chinese government, how are they able to locate a live donor with the same matching blood type and are able to take the organ on demand within 24 hours? The UN Special Rapporteur repeatedly asked Chinese government to provide an answer and an explanation to the source of the organ, but the Chinese government never able to offer one. So where did these organs come from? International investigations have concluded that large number of Falun Gong practitioners, Tibetan, house Christians, and Uyghurs have been killed so their organs can be sold for profit. I know it sounds incriminating. When I first learned about this, I was shocked. The doctors, nurses who are educated to save people are being used as tools for killing. In 1990, late 1990s, 70 to 100 million Chinese citizens were practicing a peaceful meditation called Falun Gong. Rooted in the principle of truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance, it offered an alternative to communist money worship and promotion of atheist dogma. And initially, it was being encouraged by the government as a way to improve health. But because its moral message in these principles, it was being viewed as incompatible toward the values and beliefs of the Communist Party. What unfolded was the largest concerted action since the Maoist era by the Chinese security forces. In a recent report, Freedom House wrote that hundreds of thousands of Falun Gong practitioners have been imprisoned without trial, making them the largest group of prisoners of conscience in China, if not the world. In 2001, the party have officially sanctioned the use of torture to make these people renounce their beliefs, resulting in huge number dying in custody or dying soon after their release. A whole publication industry have sprung up to spread anti-Falun Gong propagandas. The state-run media inundated the public with lies to dehumanize and humiliate Falun Gong practitioners. Now, all of this is the key ingredient for a dictatorship to justify killing, to dehumanize the targeted group. From that point on, the Chinese citizens who practiced Falun Gong were outside of the protection of the law. And this explains how organ harvesting can come about. With potentially millions of practitioners incarcerated in the vast network of prison and labor camps in China, they became worth more dead than alive. They're blood typed, and once a blood match is made, they're simply being put under anesthesia and have their organs removed and their bodies burned after. I want to end this presentation by showing you a clip from my most recent movie, The Bleeding Edge.
停，他不行了。你还绝不绝食？
你有没有妻子儿女？他们如果遭受这样的经历，你是什么感受？你为什么要当医生？是为了迫害好人吗？
何苦受这个罪呢？
我们这样子对你，你恨不恨我们？
不恨。你们才是这场迫害真正的受害者。为了一份工作，做这种丧尽天良的事情，将来这场迫害的真相大白于天下的时候，你的孩子问你，迫害法轮功的时候你在做什么？你们怎么回答？
The mass killing we're talking about here today is not a vague concept. The victims are real people. Furthermore, they are incredibly brave people who want nothing more than to live as themselves. And because they are not willing to relinquish who they are being killed by their government on an industrial scale. And the government go to great lengths to silence people like me from publicizing this crime. Just a few months ago, when I was in DC for the Miss World final, I was prevented from speaking to the press for 2 weeks. For reference, almost the entire pageant was sponsored by Chinese companies. And a few weeks ago, when the Durham University invited me to participate in a debate with UK's former foreign minister, the Chinese embassy pressured the university to give up the event. But fortunately, the university did not give in. And that's why UFM and Durham, universities like this that value free speech, so crucially important. Governments and forces of intolerance may succeed in banning books, films, blocking websites, canceling events for a while, but they can never censor the human spirit. They can never censor the creativity, the imagination, the hope that's in all of us. And for you and me, who have a voice, we must use it. All of us can play our role in inspiring hope. As writers through your books, as actresses through our films, as beauty queens through our speeches. But then, evil, injustice, cruelty don't have the final words. Thank you very much.